Hi friends, good morning. Well, it's morning when I'm filming this right now. I'm sitting down with a lovely cup of coffee and I wanted to discuss something that I really experienced throughout my decluttering process with a minimalist mindset. On my research, because I've done a lot of research and reading about different people's processes and whatnot, but I've really found an apparent sense of compulsive decluttering. I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert, so I don't want anyone to get upset when I say this, but I've read a few blogs. I have seen only like a couple YouTube videos talking about decluttering and compulsive decluttering, which is sometimes labeled as Spartanism. OCD is a very, obsessive compulsive disorder is very serious for a lot of people and it's a real serious problem, but of course there are different spectrums of things. For a while I was like compulsive decluttering and that's not good, but that's why we need to talk about some things that lead to this compulsive decluttering mindset. So with that being said, I want to talk about why decluttering and minimalism shouldn't make you compulsive. So some of the reasons why I found myself getting really caught up and looking at my sheer amount of stuff and going, oh my god, this is way too much, like how did I, but it really put in perspective of why I originally acquired so many things. It's like Christmas, like of course like we all enjoy getting something special on Christmas. Same time as you get older you realize that it's not so much about, you know, the physical tangible things, about the fancy presents. Of course we like to get them, and someone put time, energy and money into giving us those presents, and that was something that I kind of struggled with this Christmas season. You know, like when your grandparents ask you, my grandparents are great, and if they still ask you, you know, what do you want for Christmas? And I just said, any monetary donations to my trip to study abroad. Something very useful that I could use, because I especially didn't want to receive any presents or gifts, clothes, anything like that that I couldn't bring with me. I'm trying to pack in a 50-pound suitcase with me for 4 months. You know, it's not, can't get much more concrete than that. Minimalism sometimes can create these, well, maybe not minimalism itself, but ourselves, we hold ourselves to such high standards, and when you're such a focused goal achiever and you see this end light and you think, okay, this is exactly what's going to make me feel better, like having 50 shirts and having, you know, 3 pairs of shoes. But at the same time I've kind of realized that, you know, living in New York, this season, we have 4 seasons, and for me, it's unrealistic to only have 3 sweaters and 1 cardigan. Like, that's just not realistic for me. Through kind of getting a little super hard on myself about how much I was decluttering, how much I was keeping. That's something else that KonMari talks about. She says that you should think about what you want to keep, not what you want to discard. Things kind of change when you think of it from that mindset. Another thing from reading her book was, think about owning things in respect to your home. What does your home want you to keep? What brings joy to your home, your living space? She really talks about the relationship to your things. You know, things aren't just things. Like, you took the time and money and energy to work for that money, so you just invested it into every little thing you spend money on. Which sounds so crazy, but it is true. Like, when you think about your relationship to things, even like a can opener. Okay, a can opener doesn't necessarily spark joy for me, but it certainly adds value to my life when I'm trying to open a can of black beans and I don't even know how you would open a can of black beans without a can opener. Coming to those conclusions, you definitely experience the aesthetic part of minimalism, like clear surfaces. I love a clear surface, but I find that I don't have a lot of clear surfaces because I really do enjoy home decor. But my home decor has become a little bit different now because they're things that I find useful and beautiful, not just stuff. But when I think about minimalism, like the minimalist movement, it's a little bit different because you see Joshua Fields Millburn and Ryan Nicodemus, and they show pictures of their home. And when I look at their home, I think, oh my god, that's the perfect place to relax, to decompress, to de-stress. And as I move forward in my life, those are things that I'm going to consider. I'm just not at that point in my journey towards simplifying my life, yet that I can just live the exact same way that they do. But that's what's important about minimalism, is that it's not about, I don't think it's about the end goal, it's about your mindset. So it's the same thing of, mind over matter. You can't let all of your belongings control you. But it does get frustrating when you think about how much time you've spent decluttering things. If you had never taken the time to acquire those things, you would never have to declutter them. And someone else that really inspires me is a YouTuber named Kenna Campbell. She's from Australia. Her YouTube channel is called Sugar Mama TV, and she's actually a financial advisor and financial consultant. She has her own company. She's a single mother. She has such an adorable little son, and I've really looked to her for attainable and realistic and relatable ways to pursue minimalism for my life, because she lives a very fabulous life. I think it looks very attractive, at least. She has a beautiful home and everything is neat and in its place, but she's done like the 30-day minimalism game. Kenna really talks about how women should be their own financial advisors, and we should have our own financial stability and not rely on anyone else, period. And that's not just for women, but for anyone. You shouldn't be reliant on anyone else. Just being a boss, being the boss of your life, and what are you going to allow into your space, because those are choices that you're making. Also, when you have a minimalistic mindset, I've felt less inclined to buy things, just in general. So I've definitely cut back on my spending a lot. I personally really like going out to eat. I like going to restaurants. That's where I like to spend my money rather than buying a new pair of shoes. Not that you shouldn't treat yourself if that's what you want to spend your money on, but that's just not how I'm choosing to spend my money right now. Especially because I can't pack it all in a suitcase when I study abroad next semester. Minimalism can create a little bit of a compulsive, decluttering, Spartanistic feeling, like compulsive, like you need to get rid of things, you have too much, but at the same time, mind over matter. You can't let your things control you. I do think it's helpful to do it all in one big purge and really sit down and just take that time span and go, okay. But through this process as well, I've also gotten a lot healthier, because when you're bored, well, for me, I was a boredom snacker. Like, I would snack on whatever just because I was bored. But now I think about that time that I could be eating, a handful of chips or whatever. I've been thinking, well, what do I want to keep? What can I discard that doesn't spark joy to my life? So when you take the time to declutter, you might not snack as much either. Just give it a try. I think it's really important to just give it a try. It's 2017. Think about all the possessions that you have that don't spark joy for you, but will spark joy for someone else and add value to their life. So with that being said, thanks for sitting down with me and having a cup of morning coffee, and I will talk to you guys soon.